Kidding, I didn't give her any advice. Damn, she didn't need any advice. She's she's very nervous about it, and I haven't talked. What would I say? You gotta be nervous, you know. Don't worry about it.
Gosh, I wouldn't know where to start. I think, didn't you and Stretch meet just shortly after you came here?
Yeah, he came down to a practice, and every time I look up, he was there. And one day I walked up, and he told me he played, you know, about the NFL and played basketball at Virginia. We become friends and got to be every night, Saturday night at our house or their house. Stretch and I would try to outdo each other on who could buy the biggest steak, and finally found out smaller steaks are better. But Stretch is probably, I know there's others, but he was as good a basketball fan as there's ever been, as I ever had. And he was also as good a football fan. And he worried about it and carried it with him. I think he'd come home after a basketball game and we'd get beat, and he was as upset as I was. He really was.
He really was. He didn't sleep. But to answer your question, it's just been a friendship that, unlike any other that we've ever had. And Mary and I, she's the closest thing to me. You know, she's closer than a sister would be. And it's just been a great relationship for all these years.
When we found out that he had Alzheimer's, he really didn't want to know anything about it at first. He just said, okay, that's it. So I read everything I could put my hands on and watched movies and everything. And so one day we were talking about the things that were going to eventually happen, like he'd forget places and people, and so he was saying how much he hoped that he never forgot the little grandchildren and the great-grandchildren and how tough it was going to be. And I said, well, it will be, but we'll just face that when it comes. So sometime that afternoon he walked into the kitchen where I was, and he said, I've really been thinking about this. He said, do you really think there'll come a time when I won't worry about the minors? He said, I thought I'd live to be 95 and on my deathbed I'd still be saying, Phil, can you get me that score? But he loved the minors.
Well, we were sitting up on this hill. It was cold, windy, and he said, "Now, look for the coyotes. Nudge me if you see something." And he was blowing a whistle, and I saw this big jackrabbit running. And I said, "There's a jackrabbit," and it was a coyote. I didn't know it. It's the last time we ever took me. When we were coming out here, we got a ticket to Orange Grande, and then we had the radio on, and the news was coming from El Paso, and they said that there had been an airplane hijacking, a Continental airline plane in El Paso, and we looked at each other, and anyway, as it turned out, it was probably the first plane hijacking in the country. And our marvelous sheriff apparently went out there and shot the tires out of that plane and walked on it and arrested those guys. The man and his son were trying to hijack it to Cuba, I think. So anyway, when we got here, we arrived via Ring Road and saw our beautiful campus and our sparkling memorial gym, and drove up to Miners Hall, and there stood Nolan Richardson to help us move in. It was just a thrill. I just couldn't believe we were here. We were so happy.
What was going on?
Well, you know, we've had good success, we've had some good years leading up to it. But that final year, that fifth year, it just seemed like I expected this to win. But then the margin of winning was just closer and closer until I got to be just downright scary. And we realized we were number 2 or something in the nation, and then we lost that game to Seattle that year, and lo and behold, Kentucky lost their game that same day, I believe. But when we did get, I just really was kind of floored by both of the job. I didn't realize what was going on. I mean, completely what was going on. And when we did get to the Final Four, and won, we beat Utah, and I thought, this is just wonderful, this is the best thing. And I just didn't completely relax for the Kentucky game. I thought, gee, we're here, you know. We've gotten this far, and I didn't have a clue that we were going to win, but we did.